Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. The All Nagaland Ad Hoc Teachers Group 2015 batch, which has been protesting for days now demanding regularization of posts, has reportedly called off the stir following an assurance from the Commissioner and Secretary of School Education. As per sources, the teachers decided to call off the protest. This is still as per sources. The teachers decided to call off the protest after the assurance from the government to set up a high-part committee to look into the demand for regularization made by the 1166 ad hoc teachers. Now, what was discussed in the meeting? How soon will the high-part committee be formed and how soon will it submit its report? Are the entire lot of the agitating teachers happy with this decision? What are the constraints of the state government in accepting the demand made by the ad hoc teachers? These are some of the questions we shall look into tonight. But as I speak, we are just getting inputs. We are just getting inputs that the agitating teachers are not happy. All the agitating teachers, some of them are not happy with the decision to call off the protest till their demand for regularization is met. So a confusion of sorts is there. Maybe we will get to know soon because we are being joined from the protest venue in Kohima by none other than the spokesperson. The spokesperson of the All Nagaland Ad Hoc Teachers Group 2015 will be joining us from the protest venue in Kohima in a short while from now. In the meantime, Principal Director of School Education, Nagaland, Mr. K. Thavasilan is with us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on Bottom Line. Do we also have Mr. Ozukum, Bendang Ozukum? Okay, we are still to get connected to Bendang Ozukum. Well, it was a day of big drama, high drama today. The ad hoc teachers in Nagaland launched an indefinite hunger strike. Of course, they have been holding peaceful sit-in demonstrations for the last 4 days. Today was the 5th day of the protest. They have been relentlessly demanding regularization of their posts, nothing short of regularization. Mr. K. Thavasilan, sir, you have been following this. You have issued notifications, 2 of them, as far as this issue is concerned. What are the constraints, very quickly, what are the constraints of the state government in accepting the demands of these 1166 teachers? What we understand, of course, from a notification that you issued on the 26th of September is that the High Court, the Honorable High Court, in its judgment ordered 3rd of August 2018, directed the state government not to regularize any person on the basis of mere completion of 3 years of continuous service on contractual or ad hoc basis.
That's correct. I mean, so the primary problem that we have in terms of regularizing the service is the fact that there is a standing High Court order which sort of has directed the state government to not regularize anyone just because they've served 3 years in the state government. So we've explained the situation to them. We've also sort of suggested to the group that if they could go to court and get it vacated, because what essentially would happen is that if we regularize their services against a standing High Court order, that would lead the government being in contempt of court. So that's our primary problem at this point in time. They've also sort of given us instances where such regularization has happened in certain departments. So we had referred that to the Personnel and Administrative Reforms Department with regards to whether this case is similar to those cases and can their request also be considered. But then if I could also sort of go back a little bit in time and talk about the history of the problem. So this group, so there are 2 operation OMs that the state government has, which governs regularization of services. One that was passed in 2008, and the other that was issued in 2016. So this particular group of teachers had become eligible for consideration for regularization in the year 2015. So we are supposed to conduct a suitability test before someone is considered for regularization. So which is something that the process had begun in 2015, and then eventually the suitability test was conducted in 2017, May of 2017. So the moment the examination was conducted, there were certain parties which had gone to court, and in July of 2017, before we could declare the results, what had essentially happened was the High Court had come out with its order staying regularization of employees and suspending the operation of the two OMs, one from 2008 and another from 2016, which
So
sort of regulate
that also
regularization.
stopped
Yes.
the conduct of the suitability test. Is that what you're saying?
No, the suitability test had happened a
Had
couple of months prior to the court order coming into
Okay.
force. Yeah.
Okay. I have also with me Mr. Bendang Ozukum, the spokesperson of the protesting teachers, protesting ad hoc teachers. Welcome, sir. First of all, we would like to know, has the stir been officially called off? Has the protest been officially called off? You have had a marathon meet with the Commissioner and Secretary Education, nearly a 5 to 6 hour long meet, long discussions. What went on in the discussions? We are getting to know that a high-part committee will be formed. Could you give us details? First of all, we would like to know is that have the ad hoc teachers group 2015 batch decided to call off the stir as of now?
Well, thank you for having me in this program, in this talk show. Yeah, and yes, we did have a very elongated meeting today, starting from 1:40 till 6:20. Yes, out there we had to officially concede to the agreements that we had to take at the Secretariat. But yes, after coming back, our general members, we are still not coming to a common consensus. So yes, during the meeting, in the course of the meeting, we had wanted to come down and take the consensus from our general members. But yes, the time was a little congested, and moreover, the officials also wanted to, fast track whatever decisions were about to be taken. So we could not come down and get the general consensus from our general members gathered here. But yes, we have come down now and we are discussing whatever was deliberated at the meeting. And yes, we are about to come to a consensus, but likely we're going to have another meeting. Then only the final statement would be made or can be given to the question that you're asking me.
So would you have the second meeting tonight itself, or will that be tomorrow when we can expect a final call on whether the protest has been called off?
Yes, all the members has been very patiently waiting for the whole day, and yes, I suppose it was a very emotional night tonight because the expectation was pretty high. They were singing songs. Yes, I happened to see that in the WhatsApp videos that were circulated. So they were singing songs with his mobile phones, lights on, and all those things. They have been very excited about whatever was to be brought down after the meeting. And with this kind of excitement, I don't think so. Our members will also agree to go back, without coming to a final conclusion, at least among our members. So yes, we will have the general consensus tonight itself.
The high part committee, which the government was talking about, how soon will it be formed and how much time will it take to submit the report? Was that also discussed with you?
Yes, the formation of the high powered committee is supposed to take just 1 month. And then after, yes, looking at the complications of the elections, which is approaching, the Christmas holidays, and, the unexpected eventualities throughout the year. So with that, we agreed for 1 year. But yes, let me also make it a point that if at all the high-powered committee was supposed to happen, then we had wanted to, pull down the time frame a little shorter. But on the request of the officials, yes, we had to concede to 1 year. By then, they will be submitting the reports and the findings.
All right. Coming back to you, Mr. Thavasilan, in a situation like this, Technically, what are the options before the State Education Department? We do understand there's a standing High Court judgment and nothing can be done about it. You have your own constraints, which you have made clear to the ad hoc teachers, protesting ad hoc teachers. But what are the options before the government? Of course, that is also subjective. But what are the possible alternatives? Of course, today the formation of a high level of a high part committee was discussed. This offer was given to them. But what technically are the various options available with the government?
So I think there's always the option to go to the legislature. So this is something that Sikkim and Punjab have done. So this is again something that the High Court high-powered committee would examine and look at a possible option for ensuring a regularization of the ANATG 2015 batch. So all the other possibilities at this point in time is the group per se going to the court and trying to get it vacated. So that's a possibility from the side of the ANATG group. But if there are more options that would emerge from the discussions. Deliberations within the high-powered committee. So I'm not in a position to comment on any other possibilities at this point in time.
Absolutely. Mr. Ozukum, well, what is the sense among the teachers? You have been protesting for the last 5 days patiently. It has been raining. The teachers have braved inclement weather to stage a peaceful protest in Kohima at the Solidarity Park. What is the common mood now? Of course, a whole lot of them are dejected because they were expecting nothing short of regularization. We do understand that the government has made an offer. But for instance, if the majority do not agree to take that offer, will we see the stir continue?
Yes, I think it will be a little too early for me to comment anything on that. Yes, because the majority's decision will definitely will be taken into consideration, but without really coming to a point where we have taken the consensus, I think it will be a little too early for me to say anything on that, first thing. And yes, we have been protesting for the past 5 days, and the first 4 days was just a silent sit-in protest, and then since yesterday in the evening, we have gone into hunger strike mode, and I'm also a part of it. The hunger strikers, we have abstained from everything that is solid food, just liquid water, and all right, I suppose from time to time, maybe a juice or two. And one of our member, it seems, while I was in the meeting, when I was a part of the Anadji delegation that was going to the meeting, and I was at a meeting, it seems a female member, was taken to the hospital. It seems she started vomiting, having nauseas and things like that.
Is the person stable?
One of our members
is the person
has gone
stable?
to the hospital, and I think.
As in, how is the condition of?
Yes, as of now, as of the last time when I had the update, it was not very stable as well. But I suppose she must be recovering at the moment. And you know, those are the kind of instances that has played a big role in driving the emotional feelings of our members gathered here.
Roughly, how many among the protesting ad hoc teachers are taking part in the indefinite hunger strike?
Oh yes, we have about 100. We had 104 volunteers who had voluntarily come up to protest take part in the hunger strike. Then we felt that 104 members would be a little too much even for us, and looking at the logistical supports that we have here at the Naga Students Federation Solidarity Park, we had to cut that down. I mean, you know, divided by three, and then bring it down to 36 members. Yeah.
Now, I'll go to Mr. Thavasilan again. But before that, Mr. Ozukum, you were a part of the delegation that held the marathon meeting with the Commissioner and Secretary Education. During the course of discussion, was there hope that the issue can be resolved Did you get confidence? Yes, if a high level, if a high part committee is formed, probably if not a year, probably lesser or at least a year, at least there is hope for the agitating teachers. There is something that you can actually, is there something that you can actually say to your friends, your colleagues, your comrades there who are sitting there in hunger strike, in protest, that there is hope and we have had a long discussion and probably we can give it a thought. Probably we can give it a thought, probably we can call off the stir, probably we can call off the hunger strike.
Yeah, see, everything is possible, and we definitely, as a Christian said, we believe in, we have a very strong belief in our faith. If only, if only we practice and then stand by our principles and deliver what is promised, then yes, it's possible that things could be worked out within a frame of 1 year or maybe even before that.
But you also realize that the government, the education department has its constraints as far as this case is concerned, or you have a different view of it?
Yes, they have been, that's the point that they have been putting up ever since the dialogues regarding our regularization started. And we are still very confused. We are in a very big dilemma, as in the other departments can regularize their employees, whereas the education department cannot proceed on with their regularization of the employees. And yes, that has been the point that we have been holding on ever since the beginning of this agitation.
Absolutely. If I can go back to Mr. Thavasilan, well, this is something the protesting teachers have been raising time and again in the last 5 days, is that if in other departments the posts, the contractual posts are being regularized, why not in the education department? How would you react to that, sir?
Sure. So we had referred this matter to the Department of Personal and Administrative Reforms. I mean, they cited 2 instances, one of the Home Department, another of PWD, where some regularization has happened. But when the PNAR got back to us, they told us that these cases are technically different because in those cases the posts would cease to exist as soon as the incumbent retires. But in this case, I mean, all our teachers have been appointed against sanction posts, and there'd be someone who would replace them. So then there was again, during the course of the discussion today, they had again shared a regularization order from another department. So the whole point of setting up the high-powered committee is to study all these cases in detail and figure out if it's the same or these are slightly technically different cases, because there are a lot of legal aspects that have to be studied because we're dealing with a standing high court order which sort of has directed the state government to cease regularization. So the high-powered committee would be studying that, and if it's possible. And if you're not in violation of the Honorable High Court order, then they would look at, recommending sort of a regularization for the teacher. So that's essentially the conversation we had today. So the High Powered Committee would look at possible options that are available before us, and then submit the recommendations to the government. So which is why we these issues have to be studied in detail and not something that can be decided over the course of a week or 10 days. And that's exactly the point that we sort of put across to the group and
right.
Requested to allow us to set up the committee.
Yeah, I believe Mr. Ozukum has to go for another meeting with the teachers. Before we leave you, Mr. Ozukum, the last question. The issue of contractual teachers, ad hoc teachers, this is not the case only in Nagaland, across, in fact, in several other northeast states and across the nation, we have seen, continuous protests. Does this also serve as a reminder probably that contractual posts should be treated as contractual in certain cases, which is a bigger issue right now? And also, also, can we see the agitation come to an end by tomorrow? You have said you'll have to discuss, but is there hope? Do you think there's a 50-50 chance, or is it 60-40? You know, something, because a lot of people are anxious to know that, especially students. 1,200 teachers on strike. That means that's a big number. That's a big number, and even civil society groups, student bodies, everyone is appealing to the teachers to go back to class so that the students don't suffer. So can we expect something positive? Probably that by tomorrow we'll see that the strike will be called off, and of course, we expect the civil society groups and others also to stand by the right cause.
Thank you for the question. Yes, a lot of the civil societies and NGOs here in Kohima has, come over to us, has stood by us, and we are ever grateful to them. Say, for example, even this venue, which has been in use for the past 1 week, it's a donation by the Naga Students Federation. If I may just mention that one donation, or a sort of a good gesture that has been shown towards the All Nagaland Ad Hoc Teachers Group. And yes, the thing that you're asking me, whether we'll be going back or not, yeah, that's a very valid question. But if I have to retract to 2018, we did an agitation during the summer vacation so that our students does not get affected, so that we do not jeopardize the students' education. So we had come and agitated during the summer vacation, as I've just said it now. And yes, even starting from about 3 days from now on, we have the Puja holidays. So in a way, we are affecting, but at least I feel that we are not in such a state that we are jeopardizing the education of the students as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ozukum. We hope that the hunger strike is called off, and we hope things are resolved amicably. Thank you so much for your time. We'll keep track of all the developments there. Our correspondent Sarah Konyak will bring us all the developments from the venue of the protest. Mr. Thavasillan, well, any message to the protesting teachers?
So the only request, I mean, something that we've been conveying all through the day is to trust the government and allow the high-powered committee to do its job, because we understand their concerns, but then we're also constrained by standing high court orders, which is why we requested them to allow this high-powered committee to be set up so that the issue can be duly examined and recommendations can be submitted to the government. So we request them to call off, for multiple reasons, for their own, if they're on a hunger strike, this is something that we're not, very comfortable with, because there are teachers and we're part of the same department. So we request them to consider this and allow the high-powered committee to be set up and do its job so that all their genuine issues, grievances can be looked into, and things can be taken to a logical conclusion.
Lastly, sir, before I let you go, is there also a lesson that education departments across the region, I'm not just talking about Nagaland, is there a lesson that the education departments can take from instances in protests like this, especially when we hire contractual ad hoc teachers, something that we could do differently in the future?
So I think most states have now sort of realized the problem associated with appointing teachers on an ad hoc basis. And if you look at Nagaland now, the entire teacher recruitment is either going to be done through the Nagaland State the Staff Selection Board, or the Nagaland Public Service Commission. So I think states have increasingly have realized the issues around appointing teachers on either fixed pay or ad hoc or contract or whatever mode you talk about, and then just resort to having those regular recruitments happen. So that is essentially the way forward to ensure that all these instances don't repeat in the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. K. Thavasillan there, Principal Director, Education, Nagaland. Also, thanks to Bendang Ozukum, the spokesperson of the protesting ad hoc teachers. We hope things are resolved amicably soon. We'll go for a short break here. On the other side, we'll discuss the liquor liquor ban, liquor sale row in Manipur, and we'll try to get views from both the government side and the protester side on how they can also come at a point where a solution, an agreeable point can be reached at.